Hello, vlog 11:49 p.m. on the 25th. I just now got taking like a break. I was let's see, I was working till like 5 in the morning, and then I slept until not that late though, maybe like 11, only like 6 hours or something. And then I was working, and then I didn't call my mom today to go on a bike ride because I was totally I felt like I need to get caught up. Like I've got my head buried right now, trying to go get through this battle of Alesia. I don't. It kind of freaks me out to take a long time working on one battle because I would like to Google Earth every battle that ever happened in history, and it's going to take a while. But if I'm going to be able to do that, I have to be able to do like 5 or 10 battles a day, or more than that. Not 5 days for a battle. So, but this is like the big battle plus. My role is the very first one that I do in anything, but the battle, very first one that I do it with utmost detail, and more detail than the other ones, and then that way I can take my time, and then that way I can kind of figure out how I want to go about doing the other ones, where it shows everything. It's described, but not with taking too much time. So, I got bogged down a couple days ago when I was drawing these forts, because there were 8 every 78 feet for 2 kilometers in my map. But I mean, it was pretty accurate because as I'm going across, drawing my little forts, because I decided on the size of them based on how big the Aurelian Wall fort is, like the parapet on the Aurelian Wall in Rome, because it's still intact. So I'm going around and I go, oh my God, look at that. Those buildings there are the same exact size and the same distance from each other as the ones I'm working on. Turns out those were the Battle of Alesia Museum with the 2 lines of forts that they made. Reconstructions of them, so. and it went right between the 2 of them, so. Same location, same size. It was pretty cool. So anyway, when you 3D it doesn't make it up, though. It should, but because sometimes with Google Earth, I guess they use SketchUp to make 3D castles, a lot of them, but they didn't do it with those forts. So anyway, there's so many of them, so that took a while because I included these little spikes that came off the side. So, but then I got myself bogged down in another thing. Man, I thought I was doing something crazy, insane, detailed, time-consuming when I was doing the Helvetii, but the Battle of Alesia, oh my God. Because then I started there's 313,000 relief forces, and like 29 battlements in 29 different tribes and their dependents. So yeah, and overall tribes maybe like 40 or something, or 35 or something. But anyway, so I did them in like chunks of 1,000 because I wanted to know what like a line would look like with the Celts, and I didn't see any literature on that, but I Googled it, and turns out that the Helvetii were in according to Caesar, were in a phalanx, which is, when you get really close to each other and you overlap your shields on top of each other, and that's how Caesar was able to defeat them, because they threw their spears at them, and they went through the shields, so that the people got their shields stuck together because they were overlapping. And then the way that the Roman spear is that it bends in, and they can't take it off. They had like soft metal, and so they had to throw their shields down, and they were already like topless, like naked. So now they're naked without shields, so they're kind of screwed. But anyway, the Helvetii are a Gaelic tribe, so I figured, okay, fine, all Celts. Gaelic is Celt. All Celts were in phalanx. So And I was reading the Wikipedia of phalanx, and it's like, oh yeah, this deep, you know. And so I decided to go 50 to 50 across by 20 deep was a good middle ground. So, and that's exactly one of the ones that I already had for the numbers of people, 1,000 people. So I just got a bunch of those. But I put them along the edge of the wall, even though I hadn't really memorized the way the battle went down. So, but I wanted to put them all along the edge of the wall so that you could get an idea of how many that looks like when it's on the edge of the wall. Just because I'm being like doing the complete version. So I did it around, and it went almost all the way around. It went like 90% of the way around the wall. But I did it the way too time-consuming way, where I spaced them exactly the same each time, which I didn't have to do. In fact, if I had spaced them out right, I could have had them reach all the way across the wall, and that would have looked really cool. I should have done that in retrospect. Just mathematically figured out how many I needed to go around the wall, and then just spaced them out that way. But whatever. But as I was going around the wall, I said to myself, "Oh, but I need to also draw in like the formations before they had battle, because Julius Caesar said that at the end of the Roman wall, or actually said at the end of the hill, there was a plain that went out 3 miles. But I did it at the end of the Roman wall. There was a plain out that went 3 miles, and it is flat, at least not much so. And he said for the whole 3 miles and the whole valley, it was entirely covered with their relief forces. So I was like, okay, it's the same thing with Helvetii. He said there were 400 villages, 12 towns, housing 263,000 people. So so then I knew, I just wanted to, if you have the area and the population and the number of towns, then fill it in. You have all the information. You can do like time travel, So I was like, oh, cool, another opportunity. You know the exact area, because you see the valley and you know how far back it goes, or at least how far back to go in your group. So, and you know how many people there are. So I figured that'd be a really good way to see what that looks like, how realistic it is, and just. So I got my group of 1,000 people, and I got the 29 different tribes, and I numbered them because I number 1 through 10 like a rainbow, except for 10 is white, just because the other it's too similar to 9. But actually, when you're doing it that way, when you make them 33% transparent, light green and dark green look really almost the same, and light yellow and dark yellow look almost the same. They're next to each other, but it works. So anyway, I drew them out based on. I got the area, which was like 800,000 square meters, and so then I just mathematically, based on how many thousands of people, allotted an area for that for each tribe, and then I put in the number of thousands of these little phalanxes for each tribe to make it evened out, and so that's what I did after it was way more time consuming to do it around the wall, even though it's not even as accurate, because I just lined it up and I made him spaced exactly apart. It was stupid. I shouldn't have done that way, and it wasn't as long to just drag them over onto the field, but it's not as exact. Like I just eyeballed it, which I should have done with the wall, but for the distance apart, because I measured it with these like circles. I put the circle between it, and then I had like 50 meters between the different tribes, and then 10 meters between the phalanxes, but around the wall. But and it's also a cool way when you fly over the wall, you can see the 1,000 people, so it kind of gives you an idea. So there's multiple purposes, but I should calculate how far up you can get and see the individual people. I haven't done that yet. I just got the idea. I should do it now. Anyway, so I filled in, and it looks pretty realistic. It's like, yeah, it does. The 313,000 does fill in the whole valley. One interesting thing is if you Google Earth the Battle of Alesia, you Wikipedia the Battle of Alesia, the numbers that they said, what Julius said, is not what I counted. So I knew there was going to be a discrepancy like that, but I know what I read, and I'm going to interpret my way. And then I just explain how I interpret it, but I'll put the numbers on the side of the picture of screen capture, Google Earth screen capture, right next to the where Julius Caesar described, so you can kind of like make a judgment for yourself. But Yeah, and like Pliny said it was like, yeah, like they said that for some reason in Wikipedia they said that Caesar said it was like 263,000 or something, but it was 313. And and then well, actually, if you're going to include the 80,000 Vercingetorix on the hill of Alesia, he had 80, so it's actually 393, 393,000. Which is a lot. I mean, if you look in history, that's like as big of a battle of soldiers as you're ever going to see. I remember when I was in high school, they said that Xerxes, when he like crossed the Strait of Istanbul, whatever that's called, to try to attack the Greeks, in the First Peloponnesian War, it was 300,000, and that's like the biggest you've seen. But yeah, so 393 anyway. But then Pliny said it was like 300 or something. But then I saw Strabo said 400, and that's like, well, right, that's what I counted. So anyway, but yeah, so 393,000 people in this valley, 3 miles long, 3 Roman miles, which is like 2.76 English miles, and maybe like a couple miles across. So it packs it with people, and it's a good way to imagine it when you have all the phalanxes there. Yeah, that took forever. Like, I was working all day. I did call my mom, so I went over to her house because I called her just to talk to her because I wanted to, even though I was be like, sorry, we know on a bike ride. But she was visiting a friend, so I rode my bike over there. I needed to exercise anyway. Oh yeah, and she invited me over there because she got Burger King. They sell like 2 Big Mac meals for like $9 here. So, and you don't even need. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but you don't even need the coupon. So anyway, at least not with my mom. Maybe they know her or something. I don't know, but she told me yesterday she was going to try to get her weight under control, which I'm happy about. I want to stay on top of her, call her every day for that. But she said that she's going to try to limit her hamburgers to like 2 a week. But I told her it's not so much what you eat if you want to lose weight; it's more how much you eat. But anyway, she said that she was going to replace like eating candy and stuff with walking, and then walking with her ebook was going to save her life. So try to keep her on top of that. Try to call her tomorrow. But I was like, so that I was hanging out with her, and she wanted to watch a movie with me. But I was like, I got to get back to this. So I came back and I finished those tribes on there, and not long ago, and then I finally had time to go and start to look at the wall again. But I was watching a movie with Kirsten. We saw some movie called Synchronicity about like virtual reality. And I didn't really pay attention to it, but whatever. I still saw it with her. I had it with my cell phone on my lap, and I was just working. But then I got kind of far through, and I was like, oh shit, what am I going to do now? But then I decided to just go ahead and research while I was watching the movie, and I saw, I was just re-looking at the walls, because I don't like get it right the first time all the time. Like I read in the first book that he put a wall from the river up to the mountain, but then I'm like, wait, but that cuts through the Helvetia territory. That's like illegal or whatever. So then I saw some video, and they said in the video it went along the river. So I'm like, oh, the river to the edge of the mountain. So I'm going to actually read it again and make sure. But anyway, so the first time I put the parapet or whatever, the battlement from river to river, which in my version, because it was a V, it's not direct, but mine was a V, in order to complete the 11 miles, Roman miles. I put a ditch in front of it, and then a water ditch in front of that. But I didn't put for some stupid reason, I put a little bit of space between the battlement and the ditch. And it's like, no, because I actually even saw in their museum and in some other illustrations, because with the common sense, the ditch actually goes up to the base of the actual wall. So you don't get to climb out of the ditch and then you get to run across or regroup at some flat area, but for the wall, you have to go from the ditch all the way up to the wall to make it like an extra high wall. So I actually had to delete that ditch that I made and then make another one. No, not with quite as much precision, because I did the other one precision where I set these little like circles. This is how you do it with Google Earth. Just these little preset like image circles like this, and I just trace it from the circle. I have the circle go 5 meters across, but I was just eyeballing it next to the circle. And then I saw, and it said that, because I didn't really notice it before, because I didn't get around to it, but it said that there were 5 rows of like sticks that they stuck in the wall in the ground, like a foot in the ground under packed clay, so they couldn't yank them out. Of these like pointed sticks that were like as thick as a man's thigh, that were pointing like obliquely, like diagonally like this towards the enemy. And there were 5 rows of it on the ditch, but there were 8 rows of these pits with the spikes coming up of them that they put like hay on top of, so people would fall in. So that's actually what I did right before I left, because I actually went to the liquor store. I'm like so stressed out that I'm like drinking like every night. I had to go. I had a few beers with my mom. Oh yeah, because I didn't do a vlog yesterday. I went to a restaurant with my mom. She invited me. Well, she paid for the burgers and I paid for the beers, and we got like a bunch of beers, and burgers, and how many beers was it? It was like 4 beers, 2 beers each or something. But I got a good buzz on, and my mom did. Actually she was more buzzed than I've seen her, because she was like, "Oh, I'm tipsy." I'm like, "You want me to drive?" So when the burgers were good, it was this place called, I can't remember. It's up on like 55th. It's a brewery. There are a lot of like restaurant breweries here. But anyway, I came back, and that's what I did yesterday. Just working all on that, and I didn't do my video yesterday because, I mean, I've skipped 2 days since I started working on this Battle of Alesia. It's like, I would have. The problem is you have to have a. I was listening to these. The other day I was watching this video of like Jerry Seinfeld and Eddie Murphy getting interviewed, and they're saying, well, with humor you have to like weigh out the differences. Like if you want to tell a joke, like if it's like offensive to people, you have to find the balance. Like if it's going to be really funny, you can be really offensive, but you can't be so offensive if it's not so funny. So, and that's the same thing with my projects on Google Earth. Like, if it's really worth it, it's worth a lot of time. But if it's not that awesome, then I shouldn't go too much time in it, you know? And so, like, I wasn't really totally prepared to spend, like, a whole week just on the one battle, because there's thousands of battles if I do that. But I have to think, you know, this is a special battle, and it's the first battle, so it's fine to do that. But it's sometimes I have to play games with my mind to like make it worth it, you know, because I'm sure everybody deals with this problem. If somebody, and I'm actually more blessed to be able to do whatever I want, so I'm not complaining, but people would like do something their whole life, and then they would worry that they like wasted their life away doing that one thing, you know, and not having like a well-rounded life. And my mom, that's why I tell my mom, I'm like, don't start judging me, because it throws me off kilter. Like, it makes me want to drink when you do that, when you tell me it's not worth it. But anyway, that's why I didn't do the video last night. I was just like, oh gotta finish as much. You gotta finish this thing. So, but I'm glad. I should have done it last night, but because it's nice out here. But right before I got that, I got the line. What did I get to drink? I'll show you what I got to drink. I got this gin for 50 cents. And then I got a Smirnoff vodka for $1. And then I got this whiskey for $2. So it's like $3.50. But it was $5 total, because for the first time I got food at Hazel's liquor store. I got potato chips. And the only thing that I ate today was a Big Mac and fries and a drink. That's the only thing I ate today. So, because I slept in. So I'm going to go in, and after I drink half of these, I'm going to go in. I think I had a protein drink. I'm going to go, oh no, I cooked up 2 eggs and a tortilla. But anyway, I'm going to go in and microwave vegetables after later on tonight. But I haven't had my shower yet. I'll have a shower later on. But right before I went to the liquor store, I usually go to the liquor store. They close at 11:45, and I go at like 11:30. It's only a couple blocks from here, but the way that I'm going to illustrate, the way that I illustrate the ditch is I just draw it like the ditch 5 meters wide, and then I make it hover a meter above the ground. And if it's flat, it doesn't intersect, you know, and like disappear on me. And so I do that, and then, because I don't make it solid, because then it's too high. It looks too high because you can see the walls of it, and then it's like inverted ditch. Now it's a mound, right? So just this flat thing. But then the way that I illustrate the like sticking up is I just get the line tool and I just drag it down, but then I make it so that it's not filled in. It's only the lines that you can see. So then it's just these, you see these lines sticking straight up that are connected at the top, but you just ignore that, and those are your sticks. And so, like you can do whatever you want with the polygon tool. You don't need SketchUp. And it's fast. So I like it. I like the simplicity of it. And it doesn't take, I guess, too much like memory. Like you can actually activate this stuff on your smartphone. And I have the iPhone 10. Now they've got like the iPhone 13 out. I'm super curious whenever this phone dies. I'm super curious to see like whatever phone I get next, like how good it'll be, like how much memory how big of files it'll be able to handle on Google Earth. Like will it be able to open up the Coliseum or something? Because my phone, I don't think can't do that. I should try it. It can just do like simple stuff. But anyway, so yeah, that's what I did. I drew down the middle for the first line. So then when I'm gonna maybe have a little bit of like drink one of these things. And then I usually don't drink, but I'm like a newbie drinker. I'm like an experienced stoner, but not so much a drinker. But it's like I had this thought to myself before I went like justify. I'm like, apart from the money, but that's not that much money, I guess. But the way that I justify it, the money and drinking is that it's like a party, right? You drink to party, and it's like I'm making something that's like. It's the best description of the Battle of Alesia that there is out there. Like you don't even have to read the book. Like all you have to do is look at the picture. It's like you don't have to read a book. You can listen to the audiobook. Well, you also don't have to read a book because you can look at Google Earth and the movies that I make in Google Earth. The cool thing about the polygon tool is, I guess you call it rasterized, where it looks good, from a distance, but as you go close, the detail stays the same. So like Google Earth, like polygon tool creations look great from a distance. Like looking at the Coliseum from a mile up or whatever. But you can also go inside the Coliseum. So it's like, so you can, and because it's Google Earth, it's like your real time, real space. So it's like really effective. And then you can record the movies, so it's totally effective in how you can illustrate what everything looks like. I mean, you're making freaking models, 3D models and stuff. So like I can with my drawings, I can like label them, and then you can just dissect them and isolate everything, and it's just the perfect way to illustrate what he described and what they're saying. So. And I've kind of taken it upon myself to kind of be the quality control guy, just to make sure everybody interprets it correctly, because I don't completely trust that the people, even to today, have even interpreted Julius Caesar's Gallic Wars or Livy or whatever they describe correctly, like, because like there could be like one guy who interprets it, but he interprets it wrong, and then everybody else just goes off his interpretation. It's kind of like the Constitution of the United States. It's only 37 pages long, but like, who's read it? You know what I mean? You just trust the other guy who read it, and it's like, so it's like, all right, I'll just make sure. But it's you can just tell by looking at it, and it makes sense. If you do it right, it makes sense. It's like you would design those defenses the same way. So, and it's maybe up to a little bit of interpretation, I guess, but not really. Like, for example, Julius Caesar goes, on the inside wall, they have like, it's this high, it's this wide. They have the towers, have the sticks coming out so you can't climb them, and they're every 78 feet, every 80 Roman feet, blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, and then they have the outer wall, and it's designed the same way, and you're like, oh, so is that supposed to mean everything the same way? Like, and I think that's what he meant. So, So that's what I'm gonna actually we're gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to look because I even saw a drawing and they had in one drawing I saw they had the tower on the inside and then every like all next to each other like every 70 feet, but then on the outer wall there were the towers too. So for that section of wall, not around the entire city, the entire like 14 miles. Every for the inner wall, it was 23. So every like I don't know how many what is that? 11 miles divided by 23, and it was just these towers that weren't that big, but the fancy ones with the wall between them, because the wall around the 11 miles is only 2 feet high. I mean 6 feet high, but so they would have a wall facing the inside, but then they had a wall facing the outside, and I think yeah, on the wall facing the outside, I'm gonna have to make one with a battlement, with a that you can walk across the top with these towers every 78 feet, just like on the inside, because those were the guys that were really fighting. Like this 313,000 were much more deadly to the Romans than the starving 80,000 on top of the hill. So yeah, that's the next thing, which will take forever because it was 102 of those I had to make. And I included the breastwork, the fence that goes up above the platform, and then I also included the sticks coming out, and I even had like a shimmering floor, like I had another polygon for the floor, not because I actually decided to make the floor before I decided to make the sticks coming out, which it also includes a floor. So I guess I'll do the other one definitely, but 102, and the outer wall is like going to be longer, so that'll be like 150. So it's like, oh shit. So anyways, the next thing I'm going to do is, and I haven't like kind of totally thought it through in my head, but I'm gonna like on Google Earth how to explain a battle. I think I'm going to make a folder that says battle order, and then I just number the folders inside of them, like step 1, step 2, like you're reading a manual of assembling furniture or something, and like step 1 is like where they all are, and then you go, okay, or step 1 is where they went. So then I'd just draw a circle around the group that they're talking about, and then I would put it all in a folder, so it's all as one. You unclick it and click it in one, but a circle around the guys, and then you would have a line going, and then like an arrow, and the end of the arrow is where they went to, and then maybe if they've advanced to another place, step 2, and then it goes from a circle around there to where they go. So I don't have to like animate it or like draw the people, like the army people to another place, which I'm not going to waste my time with that. I think with the way that I make battles with Google Earth from now on, I'm gonna make all of them as accurate as I can. The same size of battle lines, exactly how they were to their day, for the exact number of people. And then I'll make another one, and then I'll have another one where you click on, and it just covers in red the ones who died, and then it would cover another group like who captured, and then you know what I mean. So, and that's good enough. So, because when I read like one of the groups, I think it was the Arverni, who revolted. They donated 35,000 troops, and at the end of the battle, they actually gave 20, because I guess they didn't have enough soldiers to like have all the slaves. Each soldier got a slave, but then there were more, because it was only like 80,000 Romans against 400,000, right? 4-1. But anyway, so they had like extra. So anyways, they gave 20,000. They let 20,000 soldiers go back to their homeland. So I like when I read history, I like reading about the humanity of the ancients and the intelligent humanity. People like to think about people in the past as being barbarians. Like, for example, at the beginning of the war, the Helvetii, after he fought the Helvetii in France, they ran to France and he fought them. One of the French guys in the Arverni, the kings of one of the like leaders of the Arverni, actually turned against Caesar and helped the Arverni try to fight Caesar. Even though he was like, but that guy's brother was Caesar's like ally in the tribe, and so Caesar's like told his brother, he's like, hey, what should I do about your brother? I found out that he like led some Celts against my army, and they killed a bunch of my guys in a battle. He like traitor, And the guy's like, oh no, he's my brother. Like, let's talk to him. So they brought him in, and they just made him promise to never do it again. Isn't that cool? Like, I mean, Caesar was really smart in a lot of ways. Julius Caesar, when he would write, I think he would transcribe because he'd have people. He would sit there in his lounge chair and like eat his grapes, and he would just dictate to his scribes, and his scribes would send it back to Rome, and they would publish it in the newspaper. And that's why another reason why I think people don't exaggerate the population of armies and wars and stuff in the past. Because if he said it then and they believed him then, like why would we all of a sudden not believe him if we know even less? But anyway, I heard he would transcribe like 7 dictations at once, right? Because you can talk faster than you can write. So he'd be like, here, let me send a letter to him. Say this. And he's like, okay, let's get back to the story. Da 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 da. Okay, you got that? While you write, I'm gonna tell him. So that's pretty cool, man. You know, and one of those guys would have people read to him. So like the rich people in the past, they had the same thing as audiobooks. They'd just be like, hey slave, like read that book to me out loud as I get a massage. And actually, people in the beginning, I read Benjamin Franklin's autobiography, and he'd have people do that. He'd pay people to do that for him. So like, yeah, the smart people from the past, if they were to live now and see audiobooks and stuff, they'd be like, what? That's awesome. Is everybody doing it? Why are people not doing it? You know, so anyway, man, I've talked long enough, but I skipped a day, so that's 15 minutes a day, making up for yesterday. Plus, yeah, just, this is my therapy. I'm justifying what I'm doing. So, tomorrow, oh my God, 2 days ago, I was like, I hope tomorrow I'm done with the battle. Oh my God. Well, I don't even know if I'll be done tomorrow because I have to do all of those forts around the outside. But and then I have to even write the succession of the battle. So I don't even give a shit anymore, man. Like, I was actually telling that to Kirsten. I'm like, oh my God, it's taking so long. Because like she knows when I'm stressed out, and my mom knows when I'm stressed out because I start going, oh. She's like, don't worry about it, man. Take as long as you want. So I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. So fuck it. 2 more days. 2 more days. Battle of Alesia. But the thing is, I get to be the person who clarifies Battle of Alesia. That's badass. Put it in my book. Make my book look awesome. The online book. Also, I'm freaking memorizing this stuff forever. Like, when am I ever gonna? I could give a history class off the freaking top of my head and just like draw it and be like, this, look, this, I could get a job as a history teacher somewhere. I don't have the teaching certificate though, because I got kicked out of school. That's another story. Anyways, talk to you tomorrow.